Thank you, John. As you know, I have been covering each of the four Gotti trials over the course of the last 4 years. In fact, I'm the only journalist that's been in court every single day for each of the every single Gotti trials that we've had. On Wednesday, though, I saw something I have never seen and will never forget. Just to give you some background, though, what's been happening is that there's been kind of a high school catfight between two jurors on the jury that's deciding the fate of John Gotti, Jr. Well, it all began when juror number 7, who is a black female postal carrier here in New York City, was the subject of an anonymous letter written to Judge Kevin Costell. In this letter, which we don't know who wrote it, but it claimed to be from another one of the jurors, in this letter it said that the juror was guilty of a whole bunch of transgressions. She ordered fried galamad on the court's tab and took it home. She used the F word repeatedly. She would only look at the defense table, and she called the defense attorney Charles Carnesi her man. In this letter, though, there were a whole bunch of problems, including the fact that they referred to Charles Carnesi as Charles Carniglia, who's a mafia hitman currently serving a life sentence who's been referred to several times in this case. So the judge, after receiving this letter, questioned every single member of the jury to see if there was any truth to the allegations leveled against this juror, juror number 7, about any other misconduct. There wasn't. Judge wasn't able to find anybody. He let the jury go right on ahead. He tried a whole bunch of other things to pacify the jury, including giving them all Twizzlers on Tuesday. But that still led one juror, juror number 11, to go to the judge and make a complaint that juror number 7 had been giving her an attitude. Apparently, juror number 7 walked up to juror number 11 and began singing, "Hater, hater." And according to juror number 11, who's a 50-plus-year-old Latina woman, she said, I don't need to be taking this crap. And apparently, the judge agreed. Here's what happened on Wednesday. As the end of the court day concluded and as the end of the defense's case concluded, the judge starts reading all sorts of case law, all sorts of rules, all sorts of citations as if to establish a clear record. And he's reading every word. Usually he throws in an extemporaneous comment here or there. Not this time. But he goes and starts reading the transcripts of his conversations with juror number 7 and juror number 11 and says that he finds it not credible what juror number 7 claims, that everything is fine. Now remember, juror number 7 is somebody that had generally been perceived to be a pro-defense juror, not only based on what's in this letter, but just in general. And the judge starts saying how judges have wide discretion to dismiss any juror that he wants. And then at that point, I knew what was coming, and so did Victoria Gotti, the mother of John Gotti, Jr., who's on trial now, and the widow of John Gotti, Sr., the late boss of the Gambino crime family. And Victoria Gotti stood up in open court and starts pointing and shouting at the judge, saying, "This is a railroad job. You're the effing gangsters. You're all SOBs. You're all liars." She points to her son and says, "They're doing to you what they did to your father," and she had to be physically restrained by 3 of her children, Peter, Victoria, and Angel, and escorted from the courtroom by a court security officer. All the while, her son John, who's on trial for his life and is watching his mother have this incredible emotional outburst, is saying to her, "Mother, please, I'll handle it. Don't worry about it. I'll handle it." And she's shouting at the government, "You're the gangsters. You're the gangsters." Finally, she gets out of the courtroom, and the judge announced that he's, yes, dismissing both juror number 7 and juror number 11, as we're on the eve of summations and deliberations. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, Victoria Gotti is a close friend of mine, and it was incredibly difficult for me to watch her have this kind of emotional outburst as only a mother who's watching her son face the prospect of life in jail can. But as we head into the weekend, as we get set to begin summations on Monday, I want to ask you a question, John, and everyone who's on the show today, and everyone watching in the Uber TV audience. Is this fair? Is it fair that there's a federal government with almost unlimited resources that can keep putting a man on trial until he's bankrupt? Is it fair that murderers and conspirators to murder like John A. Light, Mikey Scars, Joey D'Angelo, Frank Fabiano get to walk around on the streets free just because they're willing to testify against John Gotti Jr., who up until this case has never been accused of killing anyone and has never been convicted of killing anyone. Is it fair that the government won't allow John Gotti Jr. to pay his lawyers with CJA funds, but gives rats like Johnny A. Light $50,000 so that he can get his teeth fixed and look better for the jury? Is it fair that the federal government is giving $12,000 of your tax money to rats like Louis Kasman, who are going to tape people that he claims were his friends? Where is the justice? This isn't the federal government that I signed up for, and this isn't what I think we fought a revolution over. So I want to know, where is the outrage about this gross misuse of taxpayer dollars? In my view, and it's only my view, if John Gotti Jr. is guilty of anything, if he's ever killed anyone, throw him in jail for the rest of his life. If he goes out on the street and commits any other crime, if he steps on an eggshell the wrong way, lock him up and throw away the key. But enough is enough. You cannot keep putting people on trial and dismissing jurors who might favor them at a whim with no evidence. I'd be anxious to hear your thoughts. For UbaTV.com, reporting on the John Gotti Jr. trial, I'm Frank Morano.